All right, welcome back, everybody. On this Tuesday night open line, I'm Rory Johnston. Sat down with Mayor Karl earlier this week, and we aired that full interview for you. That we couldn't air all of it over on News Channel 5, so we're pleased to have been able to brought you that. And of course, our political analyst Pat Nolan, who joins me for our election coverage and is the host here of Inside Politics, and by the way, host of fantastic online newsletter, Capitol Hill Commentary. Check it out. It's available in the News Channel 5 Plus section of our website, newschannel5.com. Comes out every Friday. Capitol Hill Commentary. If you want to stay up to speed on anything and everything that's politics in Nashville, that's what you want to read. So we wanted to give you a little bit of Pat's talks with Mayor Karl for this final full segment. Let's take a look.
You have a field of 7 candidates who want to take your place. Are you flattered it takes that many people who are that interested in taking your job?
Well, they're interested in the job, not necessarily taking my job. They're, you know, when I ran, there were 5. I think the city.
And you thought that was a big field.
I thought that was a big field, but I think that. But I'm not surprised by it. I think number one, it is a good job. This is a great city. It's a city that is clearly on the rise, and being mayor of that type of city is a challenge, but it's also something that is very rewarding. So I'm not surprised that there's that level of interest in it.
When your name comes up on the campaign trail from the candidates, it's always been very positive. But there are a couple of candidates, not just in the mayor's race, but in some other races, who have also sort of said, well, we focused too much on downtown, and one candidate even talks about spending too much on downtown, and so we're in debt, and that's causing traffic problems. How do you respond to that? I mean, you're taking a little heat, although not by name.
Yeah, well, I think, you know, politics is politics. You know, look, you can talk about downtown, but at the same time, these candidates are not mentioning, you know, the work we did at Hickory Hollow. I mean, we took a dead mall there and transformed that area of the county, and the private sector has followed with huge investments. We've made investments all over the city, and I would put up our investments around the city against any other administration. Our city is in very good financial condition. Our percentage of debt, servicing debt compared to in the budget numbers is about the same as when I came into office. Our money in reserve
Our credit rating is not in peril, as you might read.
No, and our money in reserve is actually more. So what would they not have invested in? Would they say I would not have invested in the convention center, which resulted in really tremendous economic gain for the city? Would they not have done the aggressive sidewalk projects we've done? Would they not have invested in Antioch? Would they not have invested in new schools, new police precincts? I mean, that's really when you're actually doing the job, you got to make those decisions. And our position, I think, is very strong. The next mayor is going to inherit a city economy that is much stronger than the one I inherited.
The people who want to become the next mayor have talked a lot about what their priorities are on their first day. What do you think the priority of the next mayor should be on his or her first day?
Public education, public safety, economic development, and then
have been your priorities.
Right. I think those. I can't say I checked the box on all those, but we worked on those every day, and we made progress. But you got to keep working on them every day. For a city to be great, you got to have good schools, you got to be safe, and you got to have opportunity, and you got to have a good tax base. So you got to work on those. I think transit is a big issue that during my time as mayor has sort of come to a head. You know, I talked about it in 07. I actually, you know, we've doubled essentially MTA's budget during my time in office. It's been something I care about passionately. But that has risen now to be a top issue in Nashville, and that will have to be addressed, and I think it will be.
Now, earlier this year, Metro Council rejected 3 projects that you wanted to move forward with that were capital projects: building the flood wall downtown, moving the jail out to Antioch, and also making a change in with the
police headquarters.
Police headquarters to Jefferson Street.
I remember them all.
I would imagine you do. Any regrets about how you handled that particular situation? Do you wish that was one thing you could sort of do over here in these last couple of months?
Yeah, I mean, sure. I mean, anytime you don't succeed in getting through the council what you want, you think maybe a different way to approach it. I mean, clearly, whatever blame is to be attached for the presentation, give that to me. That's my job. But I also think politics had a lot to do with it. I mean, I think one of the things, you talk about coming to the end of your term, we certainly took the approach, and I make no apologies for it, is that we worked till the end, and we didn't. I think the city is in a position where you don't slow down, you don't stop doing things that are going to help the city. And so we moved forward, and clearly you had lots of people in the council running for re-election, people running for at-large seats who were at district seats. You had other political influences all converging that made it harder to get anything done, people trading votes on different issues. And so that's the way it worked out. There were very close votes. I mean, some of them were 1 vote, some of them were 2 votes. All of them would have been, I think, in the best interest of the city. Hopefully the city will come back definitely on the flood wall and revisit that.
So in terms of regrets, you think whoever the next mayor is needs to act on these 3 projects pretty quickly in their first term?
Well, I think, the jail issue, it has to be somewhere, whether it's downtown. You look at the cost of redoing that building and relocating inmates, but it has to be, something has to be done. You can't let the status quo just stay. I think on the police headquarters, again, that building needs to be fixed, and the police headquarters needs to go somewhere. There are lots of places in the city who want it, who just asked for it. I believe Jefferson Street was a great location because it would bring economic vitality, perhaps jobs, to that area, but that's up for the next administration to decide. The flood wall is a little different. The flood wall, I was mayor during the flood. We've worked on this. This is not a surprise issue. One of the things that I would disagree with those who say, well, it should have been handled different. The council had information on this for a year. They voted to approve it a year ago. Some of the people who didn't favor it never looked at the engineering studies, all the stuff that was made available to them. This is something the city needs. It's not just something for downtown. There are 55,000 people who work downtown. And if our downtown is, because of flood damage, is inoperable, you're going to have lots of unemployed people, and you're going to have the city kind of grind to a halt. It's a very financially reasonable thing, easily for the city to handle, and I hope that that the city revisits it, that the city needs to.
When political leaders come to the end of their term, there's always this talk about the word legacy.
Yeah.
And I can probably point to a building in town that people will say will be your legacy. But in your mind, what is your legacy to Nashville from the 8 years you've been mayor?
Well, I like to, I hope, I don't know, I'm a little uncomfortable talking about it. I don't know if that's for me to say, but if I had to look back on it and say where we came from when I first started and what we went through in my first term and to where we are now, it's been really interesting. It's almost like there were definitely 2 separate terms. The first term, I get elected in 07. The country, unrelated to my election as mayor, goes into the deepest recessions it's known since the Great Depression. And that was really the overriding event that sort of controlled what happened in the first term. And then you had the flood of 2010 and working our way through that. But as we were working our way through the recession, making cuts in the government, holding the line on taxes, and then working for the recovery from the flood, we were moving forward. We were investing at the depths of the recession in the Music City Center, the Convention Center, which I think has turned out clearly to have been the right thing to do. We invested in our police department. We invested in our schools. And in the second term, you've seen a lot of those things that we worked on sort of come to fruition, and the city has just taken off. The second term has been pretty much watching a city just ascend onto the national level.
Your next job is going to be as a professor at Belmont University.
Yes.
Are you looking forward to going back in the classroom? You did teach law school. Why are you going back to do undergraduates?
Well, I love history, and I thought it would be nice to change gears and do something where I'd be working with undergraduates, and then also...
Have you picked your topics yet?
Well, it'll probably be related to urban history and urban politics would be my guess.
You'll come on this show and talk politics with me
Anytime
sometime?
you invite me, I'd love to.
Now, being where you are, where you're going to be in the classroom, is that a way stay for you until you perhaps make another political run in 2018? There'll be both a governor's chair and a U.S. Senate seat available.
Well, I've loved politics. I've loved political life, and I've enjoyed serving the city. And I am interested in serving at another level. But whether that happens or not, I don't know. As you know, politics is luck and it's timing, and there's got to be a reasonable likelihood of success. There are family elements, there are personal elements, all that go into that. So that decision hasn't been made, and I'm not planning a campaign in my basement right now or doing anything other than thinking about how I'm going to not bore students at Belmont.
So a definite maybe and stay tuned.
A definite maybe.
So you've got about a month and a half left in office. Is it beginning to sink in that you're not going to be doing this job? And I know how much you love doing it. But you won't be doing it for a whole lot longer.
No, it definitely is sinking in, and I have loved it. It's been the great honor of my life to do it, and I've enjoyed it immensely. It's just a special place.
The time has flown by?
The time has flown by. I remember Greg Highnote, who was the deputy mayor, and I, when I asked him to take that position, we went for a walk and we're talking about it, and he said, you know, the time is just going to fly by. And that seems like yesterday that he told me that, and that was 8 years ago.
So it leave you wistful, nostalgic, sad?
Oh, a little wistful, I think. I'm not sad. I think you look at the next step in your life and you think there's more to learn, more to do, hopefully more opportunities. But I'll just be forever grateful that I got to do this for 8 years. I have literally loved it, and I think the next mayor will love it too.
That's former Mayor Karl Dean. We've got to get used to saying that. Former Mayor Karl Dean talking with Pat Nolan here on Inside Politics, which airs every Friday night at 7 here on News Channel 5 Plus. Hope you've enjoyed the at-length interviews with the former mayor as we get a little insight into his reflections on his 2 terms as mayor. Really a momentous 8 years in the history of Nashville, not only, as he mentioned, with the recession and the historic floods of 2010, but how quickly this community bounced back, and now the phenomenal growth that we are seeing in Nashville. Talked a little bit about maybe coming back. It's a definite maybe. You heard him say to Pat Nolan there, will we see Karl Dean on a state level or United States Senate run in the future? Perhaps. For now, though, he says his focus is on his upcoming job at Belmont University, where, by the way, Dr. Jesse Register, former superintendent of Metro Schools, will be joining him in a professor or teaching capacity this fall. Some lucky students over there. They'll get some great advice from those leaders. All right, we are going to take our final break here in just a moment, and also coming up tonight is Sportsline. A reminder that Jonathan Hutton has joined our staff temporarily here at News Channel 5. He is, of course, best known at 104.5 The Zone, the midday 180. He'll be sitting in for Steve Lehman while Steve continues to recoup from his injuries in that car accident, doing much better, and he'll be back in short order. But until then, Jonathan Hutton's in the chair tonight at Sportsline. We will take our final break, everybody, and wrap things up, put a bow on it here on this Tuesday Night Open Line right after this.